Billy Woods is who your literature teacher think that William Shakespeare was. Let's be real. Put your best William Shakespeare poem up against any track off Aethiopes, and I'm taking Billy Woods off top. Billy Woods is best abstract rapper on the planet, bar none. I think he has a great argument of being the best abstract rapper of all time. His discography is quietly one of the best in hip hop, and his run as of late has been crazy. There's nothing that he drops that is not a album of the year contender. I don't expect no less here. Let's get to it. Here we go with that Michael Myers mess. The ancestors coming to hunt him type beat. Bruh, come on, dog. What is up with this man? Somebody check on Billy Woods, man. It's jump time like the soundtrack to a massacre. It's what a child rebel soldier would be bumping.
Ragdoll playing dead, rabbit dog in the yard. Car won't start, it's bees in them head. Daddy long legs, stride your home like Cecil Rose.
That's tough imagery.
Pocket my bed clothes. It's a dark road, but ain't no accidents, no coincidences. It's all praxis.
The imagery to open up the album is crazy already. It puts me in the same scenery, same setting as the cover of this album, where the ragdoll playing dead gotta be a reference to Golliwog, which is that super racist doll. I don't know where it came from, but then he has this other imagery of like some abandoned house with the cobwebs reference and some stray rabbit dogs. It could be a runaway slave reference too.
This winter, you'll eat to live. Summer, heat blew the grid. Rabbit dog in the yard, car won't start, rag dog.
Not gonna lie, modulation 1 minute into the album is kind of nuts. This interlude has a lot of African influence to it. Good lord. These guitars are crazy.
Tarmac laid through the wilderness to where the natives work the pits, and you don't eat the fish. Once you can see the deep blue of the coast, fresh green wood burn blue. Those who can see pan and smoke. The dead don't speak to the living, something not for us to know. The dead drift like empty boats. My people fled to the mountains, but it's nowhere the white man won't go. The English language is violence. I hot-wired it. I got a hold of the master's tools.
The English language is violence. It's crazy. So there's a lot of imperialism / colonization themes here. He could be referring to the slave trade of English people coming into Africa, and it sounds a little bit more modern because he's talking about planes and stuff on the tarmac, but there's a huge difference between the imagery on that first verse where it seemed like something in the wilderness, and now he's having imagery on the coast, and then everything in this really uneasy beat that's all over the place.
I'm Dang Chow Ping, smoking oil in the box. I'm caught. History is a snare, struggling to grow ever more taut. On my deathbed, chucking about all that time I bought.
Good lord, that's a tone setter. Dog, that beat was spooky. That beat make you feel uneasy. The soundscape that he was using there, the changes in the beat, the interlude, and then I don't think the theme sat in one spot, but you had the imagery on the first part of this wilderness. Then you had this imagery of a coast, and I think it was a lot of references to colonization. And then you had this, I'm sitting here looking at this spooky album cover, which play into it too. I'm really interested in seeing where this album goes, but I love the soundscape. I love the imagery. I love the thematic emphasis there. Let's get into Star 87.
Conductor ran away with the spoon.
Nah, Billy Woods and Conductor.
Then the cow jumped over the moon.
Hey, Billy Woods and Conductor is the Rock and Stone Cold teaming up together. About to stun the F out of Vince McMahon.
Dumb luck if they ask me how, but go ahead and cash me out. You already know I need mine now.
This beat is tough.
I come home, the house falling down. Everything boarded up in town. Everyone live in South Africa now. Talk about his heart all around.
These deep register keys in the background is sick.
Grown men excited to be.
That's tough, man. I like the imagery there. He had an allusion to the prodigal son when he's saying when his dad got back home, they slaughtered a cow. They was happy that he came back, and when Billy Woods got back there, the whole house was falling down. So that has to be a reference of his dad grew up in, I believe, Zimbabwe, and that this country was just in a different place between when his dad came back there and then when Billy Woods visited, I'm assuming decades or definitely years later.
Talk about it's hard all around. Why when it's my turn to eat, it's always ashes in my mouth. Grown men excited to be in the streets, Negroes is clowns.
When it's my turn to eat, it's always ashes in my mouth.
Weight of the world on your shoulders, keep a couple pounds. Tend the grass, prune the trees, I keep the grounds. Salt to the earth, bent back with a hoe his whole life. Sat up in the herds, gave him quite the fright.
That is tough writing. He had the ashes line a couple of lines back, and then he had a like earth scheme where he was talking about trees, and then he said, I keep the grounds, the actual ground, and then grounds like when you grind something up. And then it played into the next line, which was playing the salt of the earth. So he had the three things that are grounded up. So ashes, grounds, and then salt, playing into another scheme, a earth scheme. That's tough writing.
The comments on the racism pouring in. It's not this is how I win.
Talk that rumble-ish.
Dark in my skin. I'm the one, I'm the
charged us so much it darkened my skin.
It should have been you, whispered by dead friends, and you know it's
Billy Woods and Conductor is crazy. There was a huge contrast in that song because the beat was pretty bright. It definitely wasn't nearly as dark as Jumpscare. You had those strings, but the way that it was oscillating between, really was oscillating up and down in pitch. And then it had this smooth, I think it was a piano. It could have been it had to be an electric piano. But this piano in the background that had a really smooth bass line. The beat was smooth, but the lyrics, the content, the imagery was, I would say, even darker than Jumpscare. The start of the song, he's talking about going back to, I'm assuming, Zimbabwe, but then he was describing in some really gritty detail just dead bodies everywhere. And in light of what he was rapping about on Jumpscare, it has to be him referring probably symbolically about the effects of colonialism on Zimbabwe, and you can expand that out to all the African countries. This is a really unsettling album, good Lord. Let's get into Misery. Ooh, this horn is fire.
We up on bad dreams, bag up strings.
These drums sound tough.
Bad dreams, bag up strings and 50 SETI. #1 fan like Misery and Misery love company. And with them titties, she never unaccompanied. And she not going home
with them titties, she never unaccompanied. That's a tough line.
She not going home in a pumpkin. If it's a tight squeeze, Brody, you the one dumbing. Please believe.
She not going home in a pumpkin. That's a reference to Cinderella. But then when he said the tight squeeze, he's making references to her butt, and so pumpkin now has a double entendre there. That's great writing.
Changed me already wet with sex. Next day I slept head on the desk, dead tired. It's pass fail on the test. It's bite marks on the breast. I'm trying to guess if she taking me home or platonic hug and kiss to burn my cheek. All 8 stops on the ACE. I wanna lay together, pass the weed, tangle legs, arms, feet, tangle sheets, rings and bangles, whispered strangle me, big trees.
Bro, come on, man. Bro, William Shakespeare wasn't writing like this, bro. William Shakespeare wasn't writing like this. Somebody quote a William Shakespeare bar. Bro, the imagery right here is crazy. He's really in capturing that excitement of that affair sex is there. I said that like I would know. I don't know from personal experience, but I heard that affair sex is different.
Tangle sheets, rings and bangles, whispered strangle me, big trees. We spoon in the canopy. I'm in a green room, candidly making small talk with the men.
He got 2 schemes going on simultaneously. He has a tangled scheme going on, and then he also has a trees, canopy, green room scheme.
For dust, dark turtleneck on the basis, and her husband keep his collar turned up. Ragged holes in my throat, but I love to see those lips shiny with blood. I'm a #1 fan.
Bro, what? I'm assuming he's preferring a red lipstick, but calling the lipstick blood? I think this whole woman he's talking about is a symbol for something else.
I re-up on bad dreams, bag up screens at 50, said I re-up on bad dreams.
A re-up on bad dreams is tough.
Said I re-up on bad dreams, bag up screens at 50, said I re-up on bad dreams.
What is Billy Woods on? This song wasn't as dark as Star 87, neither lyrically or sonically, but there's this twisted, demented undertone of this whole exotic relationship that he's describing, but the imagery was extremely vivid. The danger in this relationship was vivid, and both physically because her lips were red with blood, and just the danger in having an affair because she's married. The writing is on 10, and then this beat is nuts. Those horns sound amazing. The drums sound amazing. This almost sounds like he going slam poetry in a blues club. These are fire 3 tracks to open the album. Let's get into Black Xmas.
All the shit you see.
We're gonna spit some raps, sir.
My nigga, nightmares didn't come during dreams.
It needs to be some sort of intro so I can get my mind right to hear Bruiser Wolf rapping like he in the 70s.
My nigga, nightmares didn't come during dreams. Fiends is the zombies, open the scene arm robberies, twin 15 carbon copies.
I never thought I'd be hearing Bruiser Wolf over a subtle gold beat on a Billy Woods album.
Dying young was the prophecy. I was raised improperly.
Hey, this is hard.
Nourished food a commodity. Bare feet, missing teeth, raggedy clothes.
I like food as a commodity.
Trick or treat. Had to walk the streets when it was being
I like the trick or treat line.
Scared to fall asleep, they want you to rest in peace in the morgue. Gamblers, scammers, grandmas in pajamas. Niggas home from the slammer.
Hey, hold on, dog. I might get it now. I might get it now. If y'all know the channel, bro, y'all know I don't rock with the whole Bruiser Wolf shtick. But I think I see the vision now, dog. The imagery is tough. This flow really, really goes with this beat well.
Strain to maintain can make you deranged. Acting strange.
This beat sound deranged.
Take away the pain. Insane. Panic attacks, you can't relax. From having first
Bruiser Wolf is going in, see?
to what's left of the scraps. Horror drunk.
This is real hip hop, see?
Suspense. It's a thriller if you can pay the rent. Direct threats at people trying to invent.
Yo, why is he going in like this?
This flick as real as it gets. Depicting it after living it.
This is what Keisha Palm thinks she sound like in her
It's
head.
sickening. Bruiser.
You walked a long way, cause the shelter too crazy. You gotta
Hey, bro, Bruiser Wolf had a skill buff for this album. He going crazy. That imagery was tough. I normally don't like when great rappers have features because it's like the rappers will outshine the features, and especially when I think Billy Woods is significantly better rapper than Bruiser Wolf. So I didn't think Bruiser Wolf going the imagery route would match Billy Woods' imagery, but he had really dope imagery of just growing up in the struggle. And his out of the box delivery, this is the best I've heard it sound. This is the most at home it sound. I rock with that verse heavy.
Neighbors just got evicted. How you gonna put folks out a week before Christmas and they got kids? Them people sick in their head, it's sickening. Everything niggas got tossed in the street, crying kids, is wicked. Took what they could fit in the cousin.
He's playing right into the imagery that Bruiser Wolf left off on.
Pots and pans for the kitchen, few old clothes. My kids is little, they won't know the difference.
The way that he tied those two stories, those two images together is crazy. He is just describing straight up destitution, but he describes a family getting kicked out right before Christmas, and then they said that almost everything could fit into 2 car trips, which means they didn't have a lot of stuff in the first place. But then the other people so poor that they're sifting through all the stuff that the other family couldn't take with them. So it's a poor person feeding even poorer people with their scraps. This is nuts.
Mouth carved into a frown. Family photos scattered on the ground, but they not of that family, I put them down. A light drizzle drove me back inside the house. Barred the door, sat on the couch, put the stuff on the floor. Everywhere it's hungry mouths. It's gnawing.
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. He is just finding a way to take one image and making it more demented. the family throwing stuff out, and then he sees some dolls on the floor, and then the head's missing on the doll, but the doll also has a smile carved into it, like Joker style. Bruh. And then he goes back into the house that somebody got evicted in, squats in the house, and then that line, dreams with teeth falling out. Like it has some teeth to it, like it's a dream that actually has some legs to stand on it, but he's saying the teeth is falling out, the dream is rotting away. Bro, what?
Doctor didn't want the doctor to turn. I knew it'd be something awful on the ultrasound. Sat up in my sleep, stifling the scream. That rent got me feeling I'm fit to drown. Storm drains full of clowns, tent cities on the edge of town. Squeaky wheel on the sharpened cart, so you know when they coming around.
This album just keep getting better and better. You start off with a sick piano beat, and then Bruiser Wolf comes out of the gate on 10. He spit the best verse I've heard from him. Admittedly, I'm not a Bruiser Wolf fan, so I ain't heard a ton of verses. Most of what I've heard from him is just features. But goodness, the imagery on it, the delivery, and then it seemed that Bruiser Wolf might have out-imaged Billy Woods for all of 2 verses, or all of 2 lines into Billy Woods' verse. Whoo! But the way that he took the storytelling, and it was just plot twist after plot twist, starting with the family getting evicted, then he's sifting through the clothes, then he's going into the house, then the ultrasound, he's on the doctor's bed with some kind of stomach disease from eating something. Man, sick 2 verses, sick beats. The production on this album has been amazing, which is not uncommon for Billy Woods. He has a great ear for beats, and he normally picks beats that mesh with his style well, but you're getting a good mix of different vibes and different beats. Let's get on Waterproof Mascara.
Turn it up.
Bro, ain't no way. Any normal rapper, I would assume that this crying is just like an intro. I could be wrong, which is why I have an edit button, but something tells me that this is not the case. Bro is about to flip a crying sample.
Watch my mother cry from the top of the stairs, scared when it came through the walls.
Bro, what? I knew it was coming and it still caught me off guard. Oh my goodness, but playing into the heard my mama crying at the top of the stairs line.
Watch my mother cry from the top of the stairs, scared when it came through the walls. I covered.
The crying is so crazy. I didn't even notice that you have the stereotypical spooky vocal sample in the background too.
Half hoping you know who would die.
The other part of the beat, that vocal sample, sound like a kid wearing a sheet over his face making a ghost sound.
Yeah, mom showed us where she kept the passports. Yeah, your king's dead and your uncles are not our friends. How many times I gotta tell you kids, it's us in this room. That's it.
That's so sick. Good Lord. That whole verse is demented, dog. It is scary. And probably another scary part is that it's extremely realistic. He's describing a family, and they're of some kind of royalty in Africa, and there was some kind of revolution or something, and the men of the family are dead, and now they're trying to hide away and get out of the country.
Sometimes it's all you can do not to do it, like Sylvia Plath. My house full of gas, my kids cried and laughed right after. Psychopaths. I watched the slave cry for his master, waiting for him to break kayfabe.
I gotta look up who that person is. I gotta do my Googles, dog. Sylvia Plath died by carbon monoxide. Oh my goodness. I don't think he's talking about just killing himself. He's talking about the whole family. Bro, this album is different.
Forging firewood with a baby crying in the forest. Don't you go looking for it. Just right how the white girl like Forge get scolded, scoffing out the wrong plate. Wake up, bitch, you have me paralyzed. Did it again off automatic.
The piano in the background is crazy. They've teased the piano in between the other 2 verses, and now they actually have the piano here, but it is off pitch, just clanging and banging on the piano. I'm not gonna lie to you, I know it's only 5 songs in, but if he keeps this up, it's gotta be in the combo for his best work. Good, this is different, dog. It takes a lot for an album to make me actually feel something. I enjoy rapping. I'm really analytical when it comes to rap. A lot of times it's hard for me to just feel, but the way that the production is so creative, you don't know what you're getting next, and then the images are just so dark. And it's not dark in a typical way. You know, with abstract rap, I tend to get these fantasy images, but he's finding a way to vividly describe some of the lowest points that you can be in as a human. The way that he described in such gruesome detail the dad and the uncle dying and the mom just sitting there at the top of the stairs not knowing what to do, terrified, baby in the forest. It's just one demented image after the other. And when I say demented, it ain't fantasy at all. It is just some of the worst portraits you can see of human existence in lyrical form. And then you got this spooky beat with a woman crying as the main part of the sample. So what is Billy Woods on, dog? What is he on? And what are y'all arguing about? Y'all arguing about if this is horrorcore or not? It's horror, but it's not horrorcore. If I was reacting to horrorcore, I'd probably be white. Oh shoot, let's get into counterclockwise.
Get but a little bit, but still dreamt. After I wake up again. It's not easy to bend time how I do it. I had the knack, I spoke.
It's funny that I mentioned Inception a couple of songs ago, and then he was talking about as soon as I wake up again.
She had me running
Trippy.
back X's and O's. She know what she doing. Do it.
She had me running back X's and O's. She had me running back to it, and then X's and O's like drawing up a play for a running back. That's a fire line.
Daylight crack under curtains. We lay spooning, bodies wrapped up, cups rolling belly.
Yo, he need to leave this girl alone. This the same girl from Misery.
Counterclockwise. One city sleep, do-rag tied, the other bears teeth as it opens its eyes. Never the twain shall meet. I knew
This woman right here, the same woman from Misery, is a symbol for something. I'm thinking because you got the colonialism images on other songs, it could be talking about either wealth colonialism itself or something to do with some kind of Western civilization.
I dance how the niggas reach like Sweet Pea giggling like it's sweet in the streets.
I like that line.
Maybe it is, I just speak for me. Scalding water in the wash basin, fog the mirror start my day, but the other
Oh, that little rhyme scheme there was fire.
wash basin, fog the mirror start my day, but the other place still feel realer. Turn the phrase just a bit. I got
I think he's talking about, because he has this imagery of one city is awake while the other city is asleep. I think he's juxtaposing his life in New York. That's where he's from, right? I think he's from New York. And when he was in Zimbabwe, so he's saying that these are two different upbringings, two different places, and they're still a part of him. This album is nuts, dog. This beat is probably one of the simplest on the album, which is funny because it's Alchemist, but it's one of the simplest on the album, but it gets the job done because this twangy little bass line feels like it's just descending, which, like almost all the other tracks on here, gives you an uneasy feeling, but they're all giving you this uneasy feeling in unique ways. I believe that the whole concept of this song, Counterclockwise, is referring to him going back in time, but going back in time both literally to his upbringing in Zimbabwe. Also, counterclockwise is if you go from Zimbabwe to New York, time zone wise, you're going backwards in time zones. There's this duality of his Zimbabwe upbringing and his New York upbringing. It's a theme that he's played with on plenty of albums, but he just does it really, really well. That's a tough song. This is Corinthians.
Scarecrow in the fair, watching the spectacle. It's still no dessert till you finish your vegetables. Circumspect, resurrect him in the vestibule of the building where they killed him. I'm chewing liver.
What is this beat? I had my headphones on the wrong way. Bro, this album literally is increasing my heart rate.
Hungry eyes in the mirror like Corinthians. Uncanny Valley AI hit him with the heads, he screaming, carry, my vision swim. Girlfriend, whenever you're around, you like dims. 2 cents.
The Hezzy traveling basketball reference is tough.
If you never came back from the dead, can't tell me shit. 12 billion USD hovering over the Gaza Strip. You don't want to know.
12 billion USD hovering over the Gaza Strip is tough. The way that he referenced the fact the US is funding the bombings in the Gaza Strip, not just now, but all the time, that's tough.
Your back turned, secret cannibals lick their lips, fingernails sharp. I snatch the lights out of cat so I can see in the dark, so I can see who you are.
I snatch the lights out of cat so I can see in the dark. I think when he's saying snatch your lights out is like turn your lights out, so either knocking you out or killing you, but so you can see in the dark, that's tough imagery to me, as long as I'm interpreting it right.
Let's pick up weaving through dead cars, surface to air, camouflage in the truck bed. On guard, best believe them crackers won't make it to Mars. Mars, 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 Mars.
I ain't never asked to be here, so when I
Bro, what is going on? LP is a top, I don't know what, but he a top producer all time, dog. LP is nuts, and I love this. I think it's a 909 bass drum that's clipped. It sounds good. He uses it in a number of songs, especially on his RTJ albums.
When all depends what I pretended I believe. When I finally meet my maker, I have something up my sleeve. And I find out if the God above me bleed the same as me. Cause I'm tired.
I like how he incorporated these 808s too. So maybe that bass is a 808 and not a 909, but I like these clip snares right here.
And I find out if the God above me bleed the same as me. Cause I'm tired of calling out for him and falling on my knees. Wasted all the time you had talking about what you about to do. When you finally knock on heaven's door, they ain't expecting you. And if you don't
This
get
is a
the
grimy
fuck on the
verse.
stoop right now, they gonna shoot. Same old song, I sing it one
I like this because, man, it's just displaying desperation, man, and that anger that you can have towards God because of it, but it's just in super vivid. Maybe it's not abrasive to everybody, but abrasive to me detail.
You take what's yours and I make it all mine till the money's so long like it's saying bye-bye to you. Clip them wings, change the way time flies for you. Non-life.
Clip the wings, times fly, that's dope wordplay. He's going crazy. This flow is fire.
Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide for you. They ain't get far without an arm and a leg. And then the beast below the street showed up and told them they dead. They need to meet me like they need a fucking hole in their head.
This album is sick, man. This album is sick. Really understated beat right here, but I think the drums made it one of the more accessible beats on here. It has somewhat of a futuristic feel to it. I like both verses, the imperialism, colonialism imagery from Woods, and then the pure desperation plays into it well from Despot. I think he had a great verse. Y'all think Bully Woods is ghostwriting these verses, dog? He got everybody acting different on here, man. Let's get into Pitchforks and Halos. They done sample SeaWorld in the background. I don't know what that instrument is called, but this is the same soundscape that Kenny Siegel used on Maps, which almost made me feel like this song right here is going to be some kind of continuation of Map.
Winding road, carnival glow behind us, pitchforks and halos like the way home. Sometimes you gotta pop in and
Pitchforks and Halos light the way home. That's tough, man.
dead zone daps at the merch table, vinyl signing, comatose reclaiming my.
This is a continuation of Maps. So Maps, the big thing was him being on different planes and going on tour, going back home. And now this is the first time where he's rapping from the perspective of him being a rapper, which was a big theme on Maps. So the fact that this sound feels like it could fit right in with Maps, and the lyrics feel like it could fit right in with Maps, and it's Billy Wood plus Kenny Siegel who produced Maps, all of it's intentional.
Vinyl signing, comatose reclaiming my time, and thank you for
Yo,
rewinding.
these drums,
In advance, Caliban on Caribbean.
it gives the beat a whole different feel with these drums coming in because it slows down the pace of the beat because it's going in halftime.
Barefoot the water, eyeing that horizon, and the B-boy stands. Their time is over. Everything is.
This horn is sick.
I take a book for the trip, short or long. The stern words of dead revolutionaries who were wrong. The blurred word of all of the centuries. I wonder where the time.
Dead revolutionaries who was wrong. I like that image, talking about the books he's reading and him doing his educations.
The hood of the time machine is still warm.
I ain't gonna lie, man, that was one of my favorite beats on this album. This whole song feels like part 2 of Maps, where he's getting the imagery about being on tour, but even just a little bit of details in the one-off lines or the one-liners that stood out, like the roads being lit up by pitchforks and halos, and the imagery about reading about those revolutionaries who was dead. Tough song. I like that beat a lot with that distorted piano, whatever it's called, omnichord piano, whatever it is. Then you had other elements creeping in, the drums, the horn at the end. Another tough song. This album is sick. This is All These Worlds Are Yours.
Today I watched a man die in a hole from the comfort of my home. The drone flew real low, no rush, real slow. He curled up into himself, a fetus in the womb. Womb was the earth. Grenades landed at his feet.
Bruh, this is grimy. This is grimy. We know drone strikes are bad, but this level of imagery is crazy. And then to top it off with that line that he curled up in a fetal position in the womb was the earth, like unto dust, going back to being part of the earth.
Scrabbled in the dirt.
But then scrabbled in the dirt, so he's not like metaphysically being or metaphorically being in the dirt. His body's being splattered in the dirt.
In the triplex hembotronic, miscegenated misfit dial-up transmission, freak mind
This
info kill game stage, in the box off the chart, sub-bass loop suggested killing the asylum of empire, trench fire, silent weapons, body horror, private booth.
Man, Elucid, that was so hard. Yo, 99% of the time, I don't know what Elucid be talking about, but I followed this with all the war imagery. And then it's crazy that he had this shift in the beat right here, because it reminded me of his album that came out last year. I'm forgetting the name, but it was extremely experimental, and the way that the drums were off beat really reminds me of that album.
My boot shine, my teeth shine, my collar loose. Big ball still, the bills damp, the touch, den of tears.
Yo, the collar loose, this is the second time they had a reference on this album to teeth and then collars right after it. That might be some kind of reference to Golliwog, which I'm not extremely familiar with. I don't know what the backstory is for that. I just know it's that doll, and I know it's racist.
But folks that lost their faith, that rot away with pain, day after day after day after day.
Goodness, man. This album has no let up. All these beats are just so unique, and they are really successful at drawing out an emotion from you. This was another unsettling beat, like pretty much every beat on here, and you have some gritty depictions of war, both from Billy Woods, just talking about a singular drone strike or a singular victim of a drone strike, and then Elucid with just these fast-paced war image. And it's developing this theme in this middle part of the album where it's heavy into the imagery around the effects of imperialism and colonialism. I'm sick, man. This is Maquiladoras. Aldovino sound like he just took way too big of a pull from the weed, and he trying to catch his breath and talk at the same time. Why it sound like he getting punched in the stomach and he trying to get his verse out after somebody just gave him a gut punch? Yo, what is this beat? Bro, he's he's rapping over pure distortion and a kick. It's just straight up distortion. JPEG Mafia would be proud. JPEG smiling down in heaven at this beat. Hey, Aldovino kind of going crazy though. Let me stop making jokes.
Don't even know they gon' forget you when you gone. It won't hug your mother when she miss.
Bro, Al Divino getting busy. This really mirrors the imagery on the last track where he had actual war imagery. Billy Woods and the Loose had actual war imagery, and this seems like gang violence more so than actual war, but it seems like a succinct picture from the last song. The pianos coming in is nuts. This one kick in the background, I don't know what it is, but it makes me think of a bombing going on in the background, which makes the whole track sound even crazier and sicker.
Fanon said self-amputation, how all this is created, the irrational rationalizations of the races. The amputee says accepted, there's no escaping, except the prosthetics. They give ill-fitting limbs as gifts and insist you can only live in the present.
He was saying somebody who doesn't have limbs was saying they give ill-figured limbs as a present.
CIA handlers gently pressing, wishing he died out there in the sand, bayoneted. You had the wrong answer to the right fucking question. Amputation, how you survive. You can't get away if you don't leave something behind.
That line is tough. Amputation is how you survive. You don't get away if you don't leave something behind. That is a tough line.
House flying an upside down pint glass and waited for it to die. It's still alive. Staring out compound.
Man, and that line is so deep because it plays into both the physical part of it, where he has all this bombing imagery, and of course when there are bombings you're gonna lose limbs, and also it is playing off of this internal conflict that you'll see at different parts of this album in a lot of Billy Woods' discography, where he'll think about his African heritage and his combination of American heritage and his success in the rap game. This is nuts.
9 fingers can still tie. Keep extremities clear the courthouse.
9 fingers can still tie. This is heavy amputation imagery.
5. Had to cut them off, I ain't had no option. They the type to come back with the choppers chopping.
Now he's talking about cutting his people off, so leaving part of his past, the YNs in his circle. The contrast of this beautiful vocals and horn with that absolute monstrosity in a good way of a song. What is going on, bro? All these features are acting different. Like, Divino is fine, but come on, dog. The imagery there, he's always great with the flows and his out-of-the-box delivery, but the consciousness of his content too is tough. And the fact that he's rapping over just pure static until those pianos come in. Amazing beat, amazing verse by Billy Woods with all that amputation and leaving it behind imagery. This album is different, man. This album is different. 10 songs in, 10 out of 10. I said 10 out of 10 by accident, but this album might be a 10 out of 10 so far. I mean, he went 10 for 10 on the lyrics, 10 for 10 on the beats. This album is special, man. This album is special. We have almost halfway to go, but this is... He's going to mess up a lot of this second half of the album for this not to be a classic. Goodness. This is doll full of pins. Yeah, I don't have any criticisms for this album so far. And I'm extremely critical.
All summer in a day, I spent all summer digging myself out of the grave. Can't run with the wolves when you're astray.
I spent all summer digging myself out of the grave is dope imagery.
Let anyone know you getting paid. Can't let them meet the connect. Your own people will get you up out the way. I hit 20K in my mother's face.
These horns are crying, dog. They shedding a tear on the track.
See summer suffocating. The air pregnant, the whole city just
The
waiting.
air pregnant.
Tasting my own blood, and niggas tried to yap me. I left town, I'm not tough. I came back.
Hey man, Terrence Martin died for this, bro. Y'all hear his sax?
Got locked up, I know them niggas. Niggas is dumb. Niggas is dumb.
Heart full of pen.
Ooh.
Come to me with your sins. A list of names. Foes and
the Golliwog theme of the album is coming through now. There's been a lot of subtle Golliwog references, Golliwog, that Black Doll references through this album. Now she's saying she's a doll full of pins, referring to voodoo and things out of your control in life are holding you back.
Again and again and again and again.
Bro, she almost sounds too beautiful for the album.
Keep playing with me for real. Lines of hearses, they put the curse on the whole family, but it's hard not to feel like we got it the worst.
Him talking about having a curse on the family after this chorus, talking about doll full of pins, is crazy.
My soul was for purchase. I replied, unfortunately, it's long.
Y'all hear these distorted guitar? Ugh.
But might I interest you in something else? Wasn't no timeouts, we got welts from the belt. Wasn't none of that, just fuck around and find it.
When no timeouts, it was just the belt. Taught that Black parent.
Golliwog showed up on the shelf, pop up like the kid's book. Kid got his wig split, Golliwog by the window like he having a look. At night it's little feet, retreat to my room, wedge debris between the door and the floor. At night it's tiny sharp teeth. Kill all rats, yeah, but you gotta pay that fee.
What in the world, dog? The imagery is just on a different level, and then the use of the chorus. So this is the most beautiful chorus. The first half of this song is the most beautiful song on here. It is the least depressing song on this album if you're strictly just talking about the first half of it. But then there was a huge shift after the chorus where she was talking about the doll full of pins, and then you have Billy Woods rapping about Golliwog directly. And I wish I knew a little bit more history on Golliwog, but I knew that it was originally a kid's doll, a kid's toy, or maybe a kid's story, and so he played that into the imagery too. And then the contrast between the first beat and the second beat, where they both use horns, but the horns on the second half of the song were used in a really disorienting, unsettling way, whereas they were just very beautiful on the first. This album is nuts, dog. This album is crazy. This is Golgatha.
White hair turns black, wrinkles vanish, everything flies back to sea, flee death.
Ghouls glued to the screen till he stopped moving.
The horns are tough.
Gotta play stupid. Can't sleep in the doom ship. Hubris outside Rude Chris. Every bird get his wings clipped. Munitions flying.
That's the second time he mentioned a bird getting the wings clipped. Or actually, I think it was Despot who mentioned that first. But I like how they'll repeat or reiterate or use a line in different ways over the course of the album.
The fuselage cut them down in a line, brother. Fuselage shuddering as the plane climb. You know I prayed to every one of them motherfuckers. Old man puttering, muttering to myself. Money comes slow like publishing.
I like that. When it comes to like publishing, it takes forever to get your publishing check.
4 years ago, my mother and I made a covenant. I look in their eyes when they get what they coveted. Fire in the sky, satellites plummeted. G showed me the whistle and said he not.
Satellites plummeted is sick imagery.
Cut again.
I was reading the Bible recently, and they have all these imagery of stars falling and satellites falling. I think it's a play off of that.
Everything buffering, reality lagging, junk. Sometimes barely
reality lagging.
People I love, it run hot, fast like arterial blood. Splashy kicks, the night slippery.
Run fast like arterial. I think that word means artery. R.I.P. Sean Taylor.
What the night brings. The flap of ragged wings, black Thanos, finger snaps, 5 gems on a 4.
Oh, I love him slowing his beat down.
Going back, hand speed like bing, bing, bing. I used to love her, now I see it was just a fling. Two glasses out the cup.
Bro, I really need to figure out what this woman is a symbol for, because she's a big character in this story. He's not talking about just a woman. This is symbolism for something.
Poured us some party and drink.
Waiting
for me to take that first sip, though.
That's all she sees.
Man, this album is nuts, man. The production is crazy. This is his most well-produced album. Probably lyrically his best album, too. And that is saying a lot for Billy Woods' discography. The horn theme in the last 3 tracks is crazy, especially since it was multiple different producers on the last 3 tracks. I knew Messiah Music was in 2 of the tracks, the last 2, but I don't think he produced both halves of the last beat, the beat before this song. And then you get more of a personal focus from Billy Woods, who switched perspectives at various points throughout this album. It's taking these overarching themes of destruction and kind of centering it towards Billy Woods' perspective. Album is special so far, man. It still ain't missed yet. This is Cold Sweat. The 808 hi-hats. You don't know what you're getting production-wise on this album.
I had my community sick when they unraveled our time traveling, still pick Darko Miller chick. Niggas ask, is this as dark as
I time traveled and still pick Darko Miller chick. That's hilarious. Who they picked Darko over? They picked Darko over one of the all-time great basketball players. But basically he's saying I time traveled and still didn't learn nothing. That's tough.
Finger to my lips, shook my head. Shit. Niggas asked, is this as dark as it get? Put a finger to my lips, shook my head. Hallway was barely lit, air thick with dread. It's a room full of record execs on the other end, and you dancing on the desk. Wake up in the cold sweat.
That's
in a
fire.
barber chair, man.
That's fire. The theme right here, it seems to be dreams, and like bad dreams in particular, but he has a time traveling dream and pick up Darko Milicic, and then he has a bad dream that he on the table like Bobby Shmurda did, dancing for label execs. Bro, that's hilarious.
If anyone tried to make you wear a dress, wake up in the cold sweat, lay up next to your ex, and never broke up.
Bro, this song is fire. So this is probably the most lighthearted song on this whole album, especially compared to how dark a lot of the themes have been on this album. But he's just describing a whole bunch of nightmares. But these are pretty humorous.
Duplex, West 86, 3 beautiful kids that get up and make their
That's
own
hilarious.
bed. The way she popped that, I knew I was gonna wake up. I ain't even trip. Cold sweat, my place is a mess. Landlord trying to empty every slave, dream of the day, get a hold of the whip. She didn't grin, I pay rent, they mad as shit. They trying to wake up, but it's the same N-word again and again with the same check. They try threats.
So he's using the slave imagery to both speak about actual slaves, but then just talking about being slaves to an actual job. You can't get out of that loop of having a 9 to 5, being in the rat race.
Talk sense, like how you want this thing to end. And you said it.
He talking about that being in that dream loop, like, nah, this ain't no dream.
I'm not trying to go anywhere, man. Y'all my people. Why would it end?
Bro, can we play this around the females? This beat was hard, dog. It wasn't even an overstated beat, but the drums were super catchy, and then you got the 808s on there, a dope piano sample, and probably the least depressing song on the album. I think it was a much needed change of pace, and it changed the pace and got less deep, less serious than all the other tracks on here, while still being a really good song, really well written song with all this imagery of being caught in a loop, a dream loop, and then the twist on at the end of you not waking up from the dream. The song is tough. Album is crazy. This is Black ZMBY, or Black Zambi, or it could be Black Zombie. Probably Bad Zombie.
Staggering post-colonial African zombie state chase the people into the waves. Watch every ship and rap till it disappear, whether it make it.
This beat right here, this is what Ransom think the strings sound like when he be putting on his album.
Right away, zombies stop going all crazy. They whole game changed like Soze. Walking dead, no way, brother. The uninterred hopping Rangers roving. You already know that chauffeur gold Mercedes is a gun.
Y'all hear this guitar?
Where the house of traders are hawking.
This distorted guitar is crazy.
Oil gotta flow. Zombies go home to black.
Bruh, talking about these black African zombies and saying it's because oil gotta flow, just more colonialism imagery.
Asgard go, Moet Chandon bottles bust against the bows of boats. Zombies fucking on hoes, hoes are zombies too though. New mothers struggle while the zombies suckle like baby goats.
Bruh, this is fire. So he went from destitute African imagery of blacks being impacted by colonialism and just completely decimating Africa, but then he had this really subtle shift to more black American culture imagery of we're black zombies because we're just mindlessly buying bottles, engaging in hookup culture, all those things. It's tough.
Pan-African money, folder, Arab money, Jew money, keep new money somewhere sunny, it can't get frozen. Chinese funny, but keep everything in USD, we really know them.
I got microwave mentality. I normally don't like long albums, but the unpredictableness and how dynamic every beat is, how out of the box every beat is, and how each song is just so different from the last is really keeping me engaged. This beat right here sounded like you had this Oriental influence on it. This was the musical version of using a snake charming business as a drug friend. Watching drug money through a snake charming business type beat. I'll rock with it. Anytime where Billy Woods is taking what happened in Africa and applying it to USA in modern day is dope to me. And so the way that he called people who are affected in Africa by colonialism, called them zombies, and then related it all the way to the people with money in America and same victims of the same complex, I think that was dope. This is Make No Mistake.
You want to see nobody like me for like 12 other years. You see what they do all the time. We on a different level. You crazy? You can't even coach my type of
The Shady McCoy sample right there is tough. I gave him crazy work. Billy Woods, crazy work. Hey, Ethiops, crazy work. They can't even coach that type of style. Come on, dog. Hey, We Buy Diabetic Test Strips, crazy work.
It's easy for you, but it's hard for me to forget the things we did because we had to eat. At least that's what we said when we did the deeds. Some lost their lives, some
like
still
that.
ain't losing winking sleep. I said what I said, story about back in the day. What's his name? Backed it out on Avenue A. Everybody backing away, stammering and stuttering. Make no mistake, we flying, but my foot fluttering on the...
It's crazy when gang violence is the more lighthearted part of the album.
They cookies into his fat Joe, big pawn and triple C's. Lord is my witness, I was squinting through a cloud of haze. Stutter, drop, dip, Euro step. When they say it's off beat, that's when I know I got him on skates. Needle in the arm, how he made his escape.
The basketball scheme.
Stuck in their ways.
Needle in the arm is how he made his escape. That is fire because he's talking about somebody shooting somebody. I think it's in broad daylight, but he's talking about somebody shooting somebody and escaping. He got away, but the escape is a double entendre because he got his escape. He got away from the feelings, that regret, that guilt of what he did, killing somebody from a needle in his arm from drugs. Bro, I like this little refrain right here. Do y'all hear the arpeggiating keys in the background? Yeah, I know this is one listen, but this might be the best album that I've reviewed on this channel. I can't think of one better off, especially not off a first listen than this. I mean, this album is 15 for 15 tracks in, which is just nuts to say. But man, a fire beat. It felt like you was in a blues club, but you had these reverb pitch down horns, you had some arpeggiating keys, upbeat live drum sample. Then you have the imagery from Billy Woods, which coming back to his life, less of the African imagery and more of the violence in America type imagery. I like the refrain here too. The vocals weren't even that crazy. It was just the pace switch up, the unpredictableness, the lightheartedness of the delivery of it. The sequencing on this album, I just haven't talked about how great it is, where you finally getting to exhale on this album a little bit, but it's still really deep lyrically. This is Born Alone.
Dead man shoes, double dare you to rock them. Slip them on smooth, they gon' fit, no problem, they always do. It's like they were made for you to do the feeds. Kids laid out in the streets, no kicks, limbs askew.
Just when I was talking about this album getting easier to listen to, so he started with you can fit in these dead man's shoes, and then the sudden shift to the imagery of kids with amputated limbs in the street.
How they did my cousin in 86, auntie saw it on the news. He had one on, one off, it was by the bare foot that she knew. My wife said
This is gritty. With these sad, super mellow pianos as the backdrop, but the dude's aunt seeing her son's body blown to bits on the news. This album is more horrifying than anything that you can think of in a horror movie.
when I'm dog-eared Timberland boot, Saucony's on the Brooklyn stoop in pretty good shape.
He's making more parallels from Africa to New York, where now he's talking about the different shoes on his stoop growing up in Harlem.
Looking in the mirror like I know my day coming, I pray it's not today. Seen him coming like, hold on, wait. Ain't no way, doctor, read the x-rays while you read the doctor's face. I rock a clean pair of socks every day, just in case.
No way. So he was talking about his mortality, and the line saying, I wear a clean pair of shoes every single day just in case it's the day where I get killed and I'm getting like toe tagged or they see my foot laying in the street. He's drawing parallels to the auntie seeing her son's foot blown off the body to maybe you get shot out of your shoes or you in the doctor's room and they have to take your shoes off, whatever. The parallel is crazy. And it's all to describe his fear of death.
Hope he lived long enough to tell it to his grandkids. Born alone, die alone, no matter who your man's is. Hope he lived
we got the choruses.
Presents, that's that loop for you. That's what the loop do. Said Bash pulled it out the dollar bin where he had his stash, handed to Al and said track 2. It's true. History never repeats, it do rhyme though, trying to catch the loop.
History never repeats, it do rhyme though, that's tough.
Dropped out of JUCO like it's Dunzo, Puto, let's get it out the mud. Son was barefoot by the end of the month. You know how I always do. You know how
What is this called? This has a name. He's taking a concept and kind of conceptualizing it. But the fact that he's painted this story so vivid that not having a shoe is synonymous with death is amazing. 10 out of 10, elite. Edgar Allan Poe couldn't do this with steroids level writing.
Born alone, die alone, no matter what your plans is.
Man, that song is nuts, man. I love Billy Woods. The word I think I was looking for is motif, where Billy Woods created this motif around being barefoot and not having shoes. But the fact that it all derived from a barefooted, decapitated foot of a child is nuts. This album is not human, dog. Billy Woods prepared to get drug tested. His lead paint test.
Knock the cell, keep the devil out. Knives by the window, find you where you idle. A death rattle for the ages. 20-year cycle, breaking mirrors, shattered gazes, empty framing.
Yo, this delivery right here is fire.
To a heart, corner creeper, lights on hallway, still felt dark. Jigsaw park.
It has an off-kilter flow to it.
Pocket door rubbing track, heat expansion. Say high school graduation picture on the mantle. With a smile fit for a homegoing. Playing dumb, we all know it. Still wolf crap.
This verse, I'm not following a single thing, but it just seems like a bunch of somewhat disjointed imageries, but with his fast-paced, urgent flow with these back-to-back images, I kind of like the contrast of it. And this beat, there's been a whole bunch of horns on the second half of this album, and it's dope.
Forever's a mighty long time, inshallah,
God bless this sweet home, my beloved.
Oh, the scratching is tough.
I wasn't here when the bandos was brick skeletons. Boss gathered like migrational change. Miguel pitching cool feathers kept breaking the trains. These ain't pains, these the regular aches. My mom slaved cause she said ownership was breaking the chains. Me and my father's that day we cursed out pigs at our gate. Every black.
This imagery of him growing up in, I believe he's from New York, but this hood imagery right here is tough.
Even an infant, if the infamil don't kill her. Pages turn Ezra Jack Keats to iller fates. Arthur Miller, home was based to be in the chase from toes tagged in the chiller. Now walk past my own door, no.
Man, his imagery and his wording, the combination of both of that is so tough. But the toe tags in the chiller, the image of all the unclaimed bodies in the morgue.
Half crushed by the car, dragged herself back and caterwauled. Father put out of misery on the kitchen floor. Mom said be proud of her, she made it home. These walls could talk, they might not after all we don't. One door been locked.
If these walls could talk, they might not. Talking about not talking to police.
Man, why
That's a dope line.
For my son in dreams, some shadows have deep, shadowing me. Crossing that threshold again, they gon' part like the sea. Silently pointing to that room, but I swear to the Lord, I never had the key. Somehow it's in my hand now, that grass turned green. Grass dead in the yard, Philistines chopped down the avocado tree.
Cavalier had one of the better features on this album, man. And Elucid has been shooting 100%, batting 1,000 with all of his features here, man. Everybody just came with it, man. Just not one single misstep on this album in 17 tracks, which is just insane to say. This album is incredible. Another fire beat, 3 fire performances. Let's close this thing out with Dislocated. This cymbal clash right here was used on Maps as well. So, you know, there might be a little bit of legs to this whole notion of this album is in reverse, because if you kind of go from the last song to the first song, it seems like a continuation of Maps into a new album.
Location, 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 I won't be located. Location, 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 I won't be located.
This is definitely playing off of Maps, 1,000%.
Look, I won't be located.
Someone else's dream.
I don't like that refrain right there at all. It sounds weird. I like how these drums are on beat though.
For this life it leaves. Why away? Guide my feet, I'm entirely taking space when I walk to the east by land. Seam, cut, weave with my hands as light advances, exposed beams. Good bones, still gambling, the night's young, poor deep. Texting 3 black hearts on a landing strip.
Yo, somebody is going nuts on the drums right there. Hey, somebody emptying the clip on the drums. Goodness.
Psychic faults and damages, leading with my
little drummer boy off the Zans, dog.
Bloody gauzy band.
Little drummer boy with acid on his forehead like Jimi Hendrix.
In the forest, face painted, fingertips black with charcoal. I waited and waited. Anything I gave, I waited. Same as I got. Anything I caught, I killed it, I ate it. I can't be located. I can't be located. Face pixelated, face pressed to the pavement, knee in my spine, the crowd undulated, phones raised, and there I'm faceless.
The knee in the spine imagery. I'm talking about police brutality. The themes in this track are the most all over the place on this whole album, and I think it's playing into that I can't be located. He's pretty much time shifting back and forth between all the things that he talked about in this album.
I'd rather carry it myself, I already paid the freightage. I played facing the bases. Miles Davis, I slept in the basement. False pride jotted on the paper, I can't be located.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I would have rather that album stop on Lead Paint Test. That was probably the weakest song on the album. I didn't like the vocals from Elucid opening it up. While I think the Billy Wood verse was dope, there was a level of depth and there was an emotional response to his laser focus on these really gritty topics and themes throughout this album. And this song right here, while I get what he was doing, going from scene to scene and touching on all the topics that he touched on this album, it just left the album on not the best note. But that said, man, 18 tracks into the album and I only had one thing negative to say about the whole album. This album is great, dog. This is an album where I don't toss around the term classic often. This is easily a classic. This is one of the best albums that I've experienced, especially our first listen. I'll give it more listens, and it's hard not to think that with Billy Wood's writing style, more listens is only going to make the album better. The album had phenomenal production from start to finish. You couldn't nail down where the album was going. The production was unique, creative, out of the box, disorienting, unsettling. It had some smooth and more mellow moments on the album. You had a whole wide range of emotions. And then the lyrics mirrored that, where you had Billy Woods with his vivid imagery throughout, and then when he laser focused on themes, just the emotional depth to a lot of his lyrics is just something that I don't really experience. Definitely not every single year. Really, you only get these type of albums and projects that make you feel this way hopefully once a decade, man. I think this album is extremely special. First listen, dog. This is 9.75 to 10 out of 10 vibes.